Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan Chandna.
And I'm Jyotsna Kumar. Now on the show today, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a trade deal to reduce tariffs on India, seeing that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had promised to stop buying Russian oil over the war in Ukraine. Now, Trump said he was cutting levies on Indian goods to 18%. But while PM Modi thanked Trump for the wonderful phone call and the easing of tariffs, he made no reference to Trump's assertion about halting Russian oil purchases. We'll get you all the details on that on the show.
Also on World DNA, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has ordered the start of nuclear talks with the United States as his counterpart Donald Trump threatened bad things if there is no deal with the Islamic Republic. An Arab official did tell AFP that a meeting between the United States and Iran is likely to take place in Turkey on the 6th of February, approaching fast. We'll bring you all the updates on that. Let's start with the headlines first.
Donald Trump announces U.S.-India trade deal reducing tariffs from 25% to 18%. PM Modi thanks U.S. President for easing of tariffs. Reports say additional 25% tariff imposed on India would also be dropped.
And we're talking to Iran, and if we could work something out, that'd be great. And if we can't, probably bad things would happen.
Donald Trump warns bad things will happen if Iran fails to reach a deal with Washington after Tehran calls for a start of nuclear talks. Meeting likely to take place in Turkey, 6th of February.
And I think we're doing very well with Ukraine and Russia. For the first time, I'm saying that. I think we're going to maybe have some good news.
Donald Trump says his administration may soon have positive news on efforts to end the Ukraine war. He expresses optimism about progress in talks with both Russia and Ukraine.
Clinton will testify in a U.S. House investigation into the deceased sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The couple reverses an earlier refusal, avoiding a possible contempt vote.
Peasants begin crossing into Egypt for treatment after Israel partially reopens Rafah border crossing, allowing limited movement for the first time in over 20 months amid renewed strikes in the Strip.
Libyan Army Commander Khalifa Haftar meets with Pakistan's military chief Asim Munir in Rawalpindi to discuss military ties after Munir's December visit to Libya linked to reportedly $4 billion of deals in arms.
France adopts 2026 government budget following months of tense negotiations after Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu survives two no-confidence motions.
Two new impeachment complaints filed against Philippine Vice President Sara Duterte over alleged corruption. A year after an earlier bid failed, last month, two impeachment cases were lodged against President Marcos Jr.
Elon Musk's SpaceX has agreed to merge with his AI startup xAI, creating a combined company valued at about $1.25 trillion. The deal links Musk's space satellite and artificial intelligence ambitions under a single company.
And our top focus at this hour, President Donald Trump has announced that US and India have finalized a trade deal ahead of the announcement. Trump spoke to the Indian Prime Minister.
Absolutely. And the deal comes after several months of negotiations in which between which the Trump administration levied a steep 50% tariff on Indian exports to the U.S. 25% of these tariffs were for India's crude oil trade with Russia.
In a post on social media, Trump said that the U.S. is reducing the reciprocal tariff from 25% to 18% out of friendship and respect for Prime Minister Modi. The U.S. president also noted that India would reduce tariffs and non-tariff barriers against the U.S. to zero. Following Trump's post, Prime Minister Modi took to social media as well and expressed delight that Made in India products will now have a reduced tariff of 18% in the U.S. markets.
A White House official confirmed to ANI that Washington will also drop the additional 25% tariff on Indian imports imposed due to New Delhi's purchase of Russian oil, noting that India has to cease, not just reduce, Russian oil purchases.
Trump claimed that Prime Minister Modi had agreed to stop buying Russian oil and increase purchases from the United States and Venezuela. The Indian Prime Minister's statement, though, made no mention of any such move. A comprehensive document laying out the details of this deal is still awaited.
The U.S. ambassador to India, Sergio Gore, confirmed to Indian media that the total tariff on India will be 18%.
Well, this puts New Delhi at an advantage over its regional export rivals in South and Southeast Asia. India now faces lower tariffs than Indonesia at 19%, Bangladesh and Vietnam at 20%, and it also holds a slight edge over Pakistan, where tariffs stand at 19% as well. The gap is much wider with China, though, which faces tariffs of 34%.
And the deal comes days after India and the EU announced what both sides call the mother of all trade deals. While European Union is India's largest trading partner as an economic bloc, US continues to be the single largest trading partner as well. And well, to discuss more on this, we are now being joined by Raymond E. Victory from Washington, D.C. He is a former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Trade Development and Senior Associate at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. It's a pleasure having you on the broadcast with us. Let's begin with the timing of this announcement. And as we just mentioned, it comes on the sidelines where we had the EU and India trade deal happening, the mother of all deals. How do you read into this?
Well, thanks very much for having me and allowing me to comment on this. You know, I'm very much a believer in WION, World is One, and the world is one in both strategic and economic matters. And so it's impossible to have the kind of cooperation between India and the U.S. To visit any of the great problems facing the world, whether they be strategic, war, peace, health, across the board, unless you have a strong economic relationship. You can't be at war over tariffs and cooperate in these other areas. That having been said, this announcement, of course, is welcome news because the U.S.-India relationship has been in a downward spiral for the last year, really because of President Donald Trump's missteps in regard to India. And they are not limited, of course, just to customs, whether they be the reciprocal tariff, whether they be in regard to oil, but they extend to H-1B visas, $100,000 visa fee, the claiming of credit for ending outbreak of hostilities after the terrible tragedy up in Kashmir. So we were in a downward spiral, and hopefully this is going to arrest that and get us back to cooperation between these two largest and greatest democracies in the world. But as you have pointed out, there is a lot in the details which we have no idea about. This is vintage Trump trying to make great television. by announcing a deal, a transaction in apparent way in which he has won some great concessions. But he has announced the commitments to buy $500 billion worth of goods. $500 billion is a very, very large number, and apparently has no foundation. He's announced things that India is going to do in complete opening up, although he doesn't say it's going to be immediate. So this is a welcome development, but by no means more than a framework for getting things back on track and renewing the upward path of cooperation between India and the U.S., which many of us have been working on, both in India and the U.S., for 30 years.
Mr. Vikri, it's interesting you mentioned that it lays the framework for things to start moving forward again or upward again. I just want to come to one of the lines that were mentioned from Donald Trump's statement. He said, India will likewise move forward to reduce their tariffs and non-tariff barriers against United States to zero, and zero is in capitals. What does that imply as we still wait for finer details to come in?
Well, it seems to me it's hyperbole and overstatement. You notice he say will be moving to. He doesn't say it's going to be zero, and he doesn't say anything about the particular core interest of India in regard to agricultural matters, particularly dairy matters, matters which have to do with how chickens are fed, which is a matter of great cultural sensitivity. So it's a typical hyperbole. The reality is that at a working level, there has been great cooperation. In fact, a deal has been on the table much like this for some time. But President Trump is a transactional president, and he wants to win in a transaction. This is to be contrasted with both Republican and Democratic presidents who have worked on a relationship building and a relationship in regard to economics as well as strategic health and the wide range of matters that can benefit from cooperation between these two greatest democracies.
Also, you mentioned about this, when there was a mention of the Russian oil, stop buying Russian oil, which is something that has always been a point of contention. This is why the tariffs actually started, which, according to Trump, there is no mention. Of course, we're going to be waiting for a proper statement from India now, but we have a statement from the Prime Minister who does not really mention Russia. But then in Trump's statement and his post, he also mentions more, buying more oil from Venezuela, potentially Venezuela. The timings right now, how do you assess this? When we took a look at Trump's presidential term and when we look at Venezuela, how much time would it actually take for India to actually come to a position where we start trading and getting oil from Venezuela as compared to Russia, which which has been reduced, but we still are, India is still buying Russian oil. How do you assess this?
Well, the way I assess it is that cooperation between India and the U.S. on the invasion by Russia into Ukraine, the breach of the peace there, the breach of UN Charter provisions having to do with non-interference and really anti-imperialism. It is true that the United States and India need to work more closely on this. And there's also true that there's plenty of oil in the world for India and everyone else. The question is one of price. And what is not said is what kind of price advantages could be offered from the United States. This business about Venezuela really is pie in the sky. The fact is Venezuela's oil production mechanism is going to take many years to restore and really is sort of a side gambit, it seems to me, for the president to help justify what he did in capturing the president of Venezuela and taking him to New York under military force. So, yes, it can be worked out, and it is to be welcomed that the United States and India and Europe would see that peace is indivisible and that India would work more closely as opposed to just saying that strategic autonomy demands that India be able to buy all the oil it wants from Russia. But you notice that nothing has been said by Prime Minister Modi about it. And of course, you're very acutely aware of the political sensitivity in regard to India. So this is just another indication that what you have here basically is a framework rather than a done deal. And if you look at what President Trump has done in other tariff situations, whether it be South Korea, whether it be Vietnam, Japan, when it comes down to detail, many of the things which are announced as done by President Trump are not really done and have to be worked out.
Mr. Vikri, thanks so much for elaborating on that and, really making a viewer understand where things stand as of now. The statements have come in, but let's look at it as a framework, as a first step after a long time in an upward direction for both countries. Thanks so much for joining us here. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you. It's always my pleasure.
And Iran and US are officially set to meet to discuss a possible nuclear deal.
Well, this meeting is expected to take place in Turkey on Friday, and this is after Iranian president ordered the start of talks with the US, while his counterpart, Donald Trump, threatened bad things if no deal was struck.
No, White House envoy Steve Witkoff and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi are expected to meet on Friday in Istanbul. Reports say representatives of several Arab and Muslim countries may join the meeting. It would be the first time between U.S. and Iranian officials since the 12-day war in June last year. A U.S. official told Axios that Trump administration hopes Iran will come to the meeting ready to make the needed compromises.
Earlier, President Donald Trump has confirmed that talks with Iran were ongoing, but also warned of consequences if Iran fails to reach a deal.
Well, I can't tell you what I'm going to do because right now, we have a tremendous force going there, just like we did in Venezuela, even bigger. And they'll be there soon. And I'd like to see a deal negotiated. I don't know that that's going to happen. But, I mean, if I knew I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't tell you. I'd be very foolish if I tell you. But right now we're talking to them. We're talking to Iran. And if we could work something out, that'd be great. And if we can't, probably bad things would happen.
Iran's semi-official Fars news agency reported that the Iranian president, Masoud Pezeshkian, ordered the start of nuclear talks with the U.S. Its top diplomat confirmed it, saying Iran has always been ready for this option.
We are ready for diplomacy, but they should know that diplomacy with threats, intimidation and pressure is not compatible. Diplomacy has its own ideology.
U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is heading to the region. He is expected to travel to Israel first and meet Prime Minister Netanyahu on Tuesday. Witkoff will also meet with Israeli military chief General Eyal Zamir, who just returned from a trip to Washington.
Israeli media is reporting that Israel will draw some red lines for negotiations with Iran, and there are three big demands. Iran must agree to have no nuclear program, no ballistic missile program, and to give no support to groups like Hezbollah and Hamas.
Reports also say that Iran is making a major concession and is willing to shut down or even suspend its nuclear program altogether. The New York Times, citing officials, reported that Tehran would prefer a proposal that the US states made last year, which was to create a regional consortium to produce nuclear power. The report added Iran could agree to shift its enriched uranium to Russia, as it did under the 2015 pact.
In an interview with CNN on Sunday, Araghchi said that Tehran agrees with President Trump's demand on no nuclear weapons. He added that in return, Iran expects U.S. to lift sanctions. And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani sent us this report from New York.
The United States and Iran are heading back toward nuclear diplomacy this week with a key meeting between Washington's Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi set for Friday in Istanbul to explore reviving talks on Tehran's nuclear program. This would be the first direct engagement since negotiations collapsed and a 12-day conflict erupted last year, and it comes amid a significant U.S. military buildup in the Gulf intended to deter escalation. Diplomats from Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Egypt, and others are expected to participate, underscoring regional stakes in preventing a broader war. Tehran says it's open to talks after directive from its president and hopes a framework will be agreed in coming days, even as warnings from Iranian military leaders and its supreme leader stress that any conflict would be devastating. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
President Trump says there could be good news soon as US, Ukraine and Russia prepare for the second round of trilateral peace talks in Abu Dhabi.
Now, the U.S. president did not elaborate on what the good news could be, but claimed that things were going very well with Ukraine and Russia for the first time.
We settled 8 wars, and I think we're doing very well with Ukraine and Russia. For the first time, I'm saying that. I think we're going to maybe have some good news. When I thought my relationship with President Putin would give us a, much easier road, but there's tremendous hatred between Zelensky and Putin. Tremendous hatred. I mean, it's a shame, but it's taken longer than we thought. And I asked him if he wouldn't shoot for a period of 1 week, no missiles going into Kiev or any other towns, and he's agreed to do it. So it's something.
In confirming Russia's participation in these talks, Kremlin spokesperson warned that the issue was complex and multi-dimensional. He noted progress on certain issues while stressing that many issues still remain unresolved. The Kremlin official confirmed that the pause in strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure was only after US president's intervention.
Russia stated if the original Anchorage formula is maintained, a solution could be possible. According to sources, under the so-called Anchorage formula, Russia seeks to control over the entire Donbass while freezing the current front lines in other areas.
Trump's request to Putin to halt the strikes for a week came after Russian strikes inflicted the most serious electricity, heating and water outages in Ukraine in January. Russia pounded Ukraine with over 4,500 long-range drones and missiles as winter temperatures dropped further and further.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed that Russia largely observed a pause in strikes on Ukraine's power grid over the past 24 hours. He added that while frontline facilities remain under fire, temporary de-escalation was helping build trust ahead of trilateral negotiations on Wednesday in Abu Dhabi.
It is important that today, throughout the day, there were no missile strikes or Shahed drones targeting infrastructure, and this demonstrates that when the United States has the motivation to genuinely change the situation can indeed change.
Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry claims its Iskander-M ballistic missiles destroyed US-made HIMARS rocket systems in Kharkiv and an S-300 air defense battery in Dnipro. The ministry released footage of the attacks, saying at least 10 Ukrainian troops were killed.
All right, now it's time for a very short break on World Union. Don't go anywhere. I'll stand up on the other side. An Air India Boeing 787-8 aircraft has been grounded after the pilot reported a possible defect in the fuel control switch. We'll get you all the details on that on the other side.
Also on the other side, a report, India is in talks with a Chinese firm to allow its digital payments platform Alipay Plus to be linked with India's unified payments interface for cross-border transactions. We'll bring you all the details on the other side. Stay tuned. This is World DNA. Come right back.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes, and millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
And welcome to a brand new edition of South India, a daily dynamic show that will capture the pulse of southern states.
By blending the special stories, the breaking alerts, and the culture developments as well.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
And welcome to a brand new edition of South India, a daily dynamic show that will capture the pulse of southern states.
By blending the special stories, the breaking alerts, and the culture developments as well.
India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Welcome back. You're watching World DNA with Jyotsna. I'm Shivan. Lots more to discuss on this side of the show as well. Thanks so much for staying with us. Let's start with the headlines.
Russian forces launched large overnight drone and missile attack targeting major Ukrainian cities including Kiev and Kharkiv, striking residential areas in the capital and injuring at least 2 people.
Donald Trump announces US-India trade deal, reducing tariffs from 25 to 18%. Prime Minister Modi thanks US President for easing of the tariffs. Reports say additional 25% tariff imposed on India would also be dropped.
US and Iran are likely to meet in Turkey on February 6th to restart nuclear talks following Tehran's call for negotiations and Donald Trump's warning that bad things will happen if no deal is struck.
And they're not getting any money from anywhere. It's a failed nation. Mexico is going to cease sending them oil.
Donald Trump says Mexico will stop sending oil to Cuba as part of Washington's pressure campaign, while Cuban government denies that it is in talks with the US on a deal.
Turkey's President Erdogan warns Kurdish-led Syrian democratic forces against any attempt to sabotage agreement reached with Syrian government, says those who attempt to undermine it would face consequences.
Libyan Army Commander Khalifa Haftar meets with Pakistan's military chief Asim Munir in Rawalpindi to discuss military ties after Munir's December visit to Libya, linked to a reported $4 billion arms deal.
A Chinese court sentences former Justice Minister Tang Dijun to life in prison after finding him guilty of accepting bribes totaling almost $20 million over more than a decade.
US Bureau of Labor Statistics says the January jobs report won't be released this Friday because a partial government shutdown has halted operations. The report will be rescheduled once funding is restored, adding uncertainty to key economic data.
Australia pacer Josh Hazlewood will miss the early stages of the T20 World Cup as he recovers from hamstring and Achilles injuries. Sean Abbott added to Australia's squad as a travelling reserve.
An Air India Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner has been grounded after the pilot reported a possible defect in the fuel control switch.
And the 9-year-old aircraft was operating a flight from London to Bengaluru. And according to a statement by the aviation safety advocate group, Safety Matters Foundation, the crew of the Boeing 787 reported abnormal behavior of the left engine fuel control switch on Monday. As during engine start, the switch failed to remain locked in the run position on 2 attempts, moving towards cutoff.
Engine fuel control switches have been at the focus of the investigation into the fatal crash of an Air India Boeing 787 jet just last year in Ahmedabad in June that killed over 260 people. The preliminary probe report says that the accident occurred after both engines of the ill-fated aircraft shut down within seconds. And Air India spokesperson confirmed Monday's developments and said the airline is engaging with the original equipment manufacturer, Boeing, and the fuel control switch manufacturer, Honeywell, to get the concerns of the pilot checked on priority. The spokesperson added that the matter has been communicated to the Director General of Civil Aviation, DGCA. Spokesperson also said that Air India had checked the fuel control switches on all Boeing 787 aircraft in its fleet after a directive from the DGCA and had found no issues.
And a major tragedy was averted in Pakistan's Karachi, where a fire that erupted at a commercial building was quickly extinguished.
According to Karachi Deputy Mayor Salman Murad, the fire erupted at a building near the mobile phone market in Sadr Business District, fairly close to the site where a deadly blaze killed dozens of people just last month. The police have said the fire started from one car on the building's 7th floor parking level and spread to 2 other vehicles, which was eventually brought under control. However, the cause of the fire is yet to be determined.
The car park was on the 7th floor, and the fire started from one car in the car park, which spread to 2 to 3 cars. But fortunately, we've learned a lot from previous fires, and after learning, we responded very quickly.
Now, no casualties have been reported in the incident. 2 people who were rescued were provided immediate medical assistance. The latest fire incident followed the nearly 2-day-long blaze at a multi-story complex, Gul Plaza, on January 17th that killed at least 67 and left dozens missing. It also gutted close to 1,200 shops and reduced the building to ashes. The frequency of such incidents has also intensified scrutiny of the city's disaster preparedness and governance. Karachi has a long history of deadly fires, often linked to poor safety standards, weak regulatory enforcement, and illegal construction.
In November of 2023, a shopping mall fire killed 10 people and injured 22. Then in 2012, one of Pakistan's deadliest industrial disasters occurred when a garment factory fire killed at least 260 people. Pakistan remains on the boil. The country is witnessing one of the deadliest violence it has seen. Balochistan province is at the center of this violent crackdown.
Over 220 people have died. Pakistani authorities say among them are 145 Balochi militants. And as the country is engulfed in a crisis, a new form of protest has come to force. It is the Balochi women who, for the first time, have taken weapons and are demanding justice. Islamabad has vowed to crush the insurgency with an iron hand. Our next report brings you all the details. Take a look.
Balochistan is a war zone. The streets have become battle zones. Armed fighters take on the security forces. Over 200 dead and many injured in 2 days of violence. The Pakistani security forces have launched a crushing crackdown. Around a dozen sites remain sealed off, with troops combing the area a day after BLA personnel stormed banks, jails, police stations and military installations.
No one is safe. Anyone who leaves home has no certainty of returning safe and sound. There is constant fear over whether they will come back unharmed. Business was already slow due to the cold weather, and when such incidents occur, chaos follows, forcing people to shut their shops and return home.
They want us to surrender.
They, militants, want us to surrender. We will not. We are ready to fight this war for 1,000 years. This country is ours. This is our motherland. We will fight for it. We are not prepared to surrender even for a second.
A rebellion once led by men has taken a startling turn. Women have stepped into the front line. Balochistan Liberation Army unveiled Hawa Baloch and Asifa Mengal, Fidain or suicide bombers who led the assaults. Hawa battles on the Gwadar front, clashing near vital CPEC ports. Asifa reportedly stormed the ISI headquarters in Nushki, detonating herself. For years, Baloch women have lived on the margins. Low access to education, limited healthcare, deep-rooted discrimination. As the insurgency intensified, their suffering worsened. Activists and families speak of systemic targeting of Baloch men, enforced disappearances, long detentions, and bodies that never returned.
Women were the primary victims because the brothers, fathers, husbands, sons were disappeared. Then their mutilated bodies were thrown on the streets in the barren mountains of Balochistan. So these women immensely suffered this. Therefore, in reaction, you can see this generation of women who saw those sufferings have embarked on the liberation movements.
The emergence of women fighters marks a profound shift. Analysts say it reflects both tactical calculation and emotional rupture. More importantly, they carry a powerful message. This conflict has reached families, not just fighters. Pakistan has been battling a Baloch separatist insurgency for decades, with frequent armed attacks on security forces, foreign nationals and non-locals in the mineral-rich province bordering Afghanistan and Iran. Pakistan's poorest province and the largest by land mass, Balochistan lags behind the rest of the country in almost every index, including education, employment and economic development. Baloch separatists accuse Pakistan's government of exploiting the province's natural gas and abundant mineral resources without benefiting the local population. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Now let's turn our attention towards Bangladesh, which is heading to a poll next week. For a country that has been ruled by two women presidents, female politicians being pushed to the margins is a stark reality it finds itself in today.
Well, a day after Jamaat-e-Islami chief Amir Shafiqur Rahman stated on social media that working women are equal to prostitutes, protests erupted at the Dhaka University and Jagannath University, with leaders from Chhatra Dal as well as activists demanding a public apology from the Jamaat chief. Amir Rahman later deleted that post and claimed that his account was hacked. But women continued to question his statement and chanted, "Do you know, Shafiq, half the strength of the nation is women, and break the black hands of oppressors."
However, this isn't the first time that the Jamaat chief has spoken against women. In a recent interview with a news channel, Amir Shafiqur Rahman had said that women cannot participate in elections or head the Islamic Party because they have to become mothers, inviting backlash from activists. This controversy comes 10 days before the general elections in Bangladesh on 12th of February, and naturally raising concerns about women's role in the electoral process.
Less than 4% of nominees are women this time. The BNP has nominated less than 10 women. NCP has nominated only 2, while Jamaat has none. In the past few weeks, several women leaders of the NCP resigned as a mark of protest against alliances made with Jamaat-e-Islami. As per Bangladesh's Election Commission, out of 1,981 candidates, the number of female candidates in the upcoming national parliamentary election is just 78, a much lesser number as compared to the 2024 election, where a record 101 female candidates fought for the seats. Only 17 women candidates are running independently this time. Nearly a third of the nominated women candidates are related to influential men, indicating how difficult it is for women to participate independently. A proposal by the country's Women's Affairs Reform Commission to increase the number of reserved seats from 50 to 100 was not accepted by political parties. Bangladesh's Representation of the People Order 1972 requires political parties to reserve at least 33% of committee posts for women, including at the central level. Yet, most parties have failed to comply with this provision, including the BNP, which was headed by its matriarch Khalida Zia until her death.
Now, this glaring imbalance is why women leaders have now taken to the streets to protest the deep-rooted chauvinism and discrimination faced by women with political ambition. Electoral politics in Bangladesh is being shaped by muscle power and patronage, rejecting women's merit and systematically disadvantaging them in democratic processes.
Political battle is heating up in India's poll-bound state of West Bengal. State's incumbent Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has intensified her battle against special intensive revision.
Now, wearing black shawls as a sign of protest, West Bengal CM brought people whose names have been removed from a voter list to New Delhi. She, along with the TMC MP Abhishek Banerjee and Kalyan Banerjee, met with the country's Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar.
Mamata Banerjee is spearheading the anti-SIR campaign in West Bengal. She has accused Election Commission of working on the BJP's behest. West Bengal Chief Minister walked out of the meet and said she was insulted and humiliated.
They say whatever they have done is right. They do not allow any cameraman from outside to enter. They are working under BJP's direction.
The West Bengal CM has vowed to take the battle forward. She has already filed a writ petition in India's Supreme Court. Mamata Banerjee says names of around 2 crore voters have been removed from the voters list. This is around 27% of the total voters that were eligible to vote during last assembly elections.
There can be lakhs of people here in Delhi, and I can pellet them in front of anybody else.
Political drama did not end here. West Bengal's Chief Minister also lashed out at the central government. She said when Home Minister comes to West Bengal, he received the red carpet welcome, but in return, she, Chief Minister of West Bengal, is receiving a black carpet.
I will request the Home Minister not to behave like this. When you come to Bengal, we give you the red carpet. And when you came in Delhi, you give us a black carpet.
Now, big tech earnings are sending a clear message to investors. AI spending is welcome, but only if it delivers growth.
From Azure to OpenAI and Meta to Tesla, the numbers show how the race to AI dominance is reshaping both profits and investor expectations. Let's break it down in this next report. Take a look.
Last week's earnings from big tech highlighted a growing divide in investor reactions to AI spending. Microsoft shares fell 10%, erasing more than $350 billion in market value. This came after its Azure cloud revenue grew only slightly above expectations. In contrast, Meta gained 10%, with AI-powered ad targeting driving a 24% revenue increase in the December quarter. Over the past 2 years, Meta shares have risen 87%, while Microsoft is up just 7%. Reflecting investor focus on tangible AI returns. Investors are concerned about Microsoft's heavy reliance on OpenAI, which accounts for 45% of its cloud backlog. With the AI startup still unprofitable, some $280 billion in potential revenue could be at risk. Azure growth is expected to remain stable at 37 to 38% in the first quarter, constrained partly by AI chip capacity. CFO Amy Hood noted that using chips for internal development limited Azure's growth, signaling challenges in balancing AI innovation and enterprise performance. For Meta, AI is fueling both revenue and growth expectations. The company forecasts revenue to rise as much as 33% and plans a 43% jump in total expenses, as AI enhances ad targeting and organic engagement. Tesla is also increasing AI investment, planning to double spending to over $20 billion this year on AI, humanoid robots, and autonomous vehicles. Analysts know that while investors reward clear AI-driven revenue gains, there is growing scrutiny over whether massive capital outlays will generate sufficient returns. This is Bureau Report, WION World is One. And India is in talks with China, Linked and International to allow its digital payments platform Alipay Plus to be linked with India's unified payments interface for cross-border transactions.
Well, this move could make payments easier for Indian tourists and the diaspora by allowing UPI to be used at overseas merchants connected to Alipay Plus. Indian government and central bank officials, they are holding talks with Singapore-based A&T International, which was founded by China's group and now operates independently.
Alipay Plus connects around 1.8 billion user accounts with more than 150 million merchants across over 100 markets worldwide. The company has a significant presence in Asia, Europe, West Asia, and Latin America. India's UPI has become, of course, it's become ubiquitous within the country and processing close to 18 billion transactions a month. The government and the central bank have been keen to extend its use across borders to help Indian travelers and the diaspora pay in Indian rupees, reducing friction and costs involved with cross-border payments. And according to Reuters report, a final decision will depend on security clearances, given sensitivities over data security and Alipay's China roots.
India tightened investment rules for Chinese firms after the 2020 border standoff, and those restrictions remain in place. Ties have slowly improved over the past year with high-level meetings, the resumption of direct commercial flights, and even easing of visa rules for Chinese professionals. Winter Olympics hosts Italy have suffered a major embarrassment, and this happened just days before the start of the Games.
Italian biathlete Rebecca Passler is set to miss the Milano Cortina Winter Games. The 24-year-old has been provisionally suspended after testing positive for a banned substance just 4 days before the opening ceremony.
Italy's anti-doping agency, NADO, said Passler tested positive for letrozole in an out-of-competition sample. The sample was taken outside the official Games testing window. Letrozole is a medication used in the treatment of breast cancer and can also be used to mask the effects of steroid use. Passler currently sits 33rd in the overall World Cup standings. She is the niece of Johann Passler, an Olympic bronze medalist at the 1988 Calgary Games. She was due to compete in the biathlon in her hometown, starting with the mixed team relay on Sunday. Passler is yet to win a major championship title. Her best result to date was 11th place in the women's 4x6 kilometer relay at the 2024 IBU World Championships. The Biathlon Integrity Unit said in a statement that the disciplinary process will now be handled by the Italian anti-doping agency.
Vietnam's Phan Huy has become the youngest ever designer to present a collection on the official haute couture calendar in Paris.
Well, the 27-year-old designer rounded off a week of major fashion debuts and celebrity sightings with his head-turning collection. More in this next report. Short break after that. This is WION World is One and a wrap on World DNA. Stay with us. Come right back.